Just two hoes watching shows.
Just two hoes watching shows.
Yeah. That's what you guys get until I figure something else.
So we are back this week on Two Hoes Watching Shows. I'm Ariel.
And I'm Jessie.
So we are really here this week to talk about Naziah Harris. Although the story does not have a docuseries out for the public to watch, we really want to use our platform to spread awareness and shine light for this amazing young woman. So as we spoke about on our last podcast about Gabby Petito, women of color tend to not get publicized in the media the same as white women. Naziah deserves justice, and we are here to help find that and just bring you guys along for the ride. So please join us and listen close. The missing case of Naziah Harris, last seen January 9th, 2024.
All right. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a crazy case. And I'm glad that you brought it up the last podcast, because I feel like this is something that we've been talking to each other since it came out, right?
Definitely.
So I'm glad that we're chopping it up.
And not only as just like a woman of color, but just as a child.
Yeah,
I feel
absolutely.
like this is really near and dear to Jessie and I's heart, to just protect children at all cost.
Right, yeah. So let me talk about Naziah. Naziah Harris was born September 16th, 2010 in Detroit, Michigan. Naziah was a beautiful girl that was vibrant, very active on TikTok and other social medias, as 13-year-olds are. Naziah was, her mother is Kenyatta Harris. And there's not too much information about her father, but Naziah was actually raised by her grandmother, Annette Harris, who we will talk about a lot more later. Annette took custody of Naziah in 2016. So Naziah was 6 years old. In the preliminary trial, Annette describes their living situation as they lived in a couple of places in Detroit, Michigan, and Naziah's aunt, Shannon Harris, also lived with Annette and her 5 children who she had with Jarvis Butts. So it was definitely a big family, and it looks like there was a lot of children living with Naziah.
Yeah, it seems pretty chaotic.
A little bit. But you know what? You
I mean, I'm from a big family. I can say that.
Exactly.
Like, chaos can be awesome, and it can also be obviously very hectic.
Right. And I'm sure like people get missed. Things could get missed,
yes.
I guess. So let's talk about January 9th. So during the preliminary trial, they bring Annette Harris, who is Naziah's grandmother, up to testify. Annette describes that day as a typical day for her household of getting 6 children ready for the day. School starts at 7, so they're up at 6. She drops the kids off at J.D. Clark School. And Naziah, a typical day, Naziah does take the bus home. It says that she used to be in the after-school program with their other cousins. However, Naziah was having issues with someone in that, another student. And so Naziah dropped out of the after school, and she was usually taking the bus back home. So Naziah takes the bus, school stops at 2:30. Naziah gets home roughly around 3:45. Annette says that there is a 5-minute walk from the bus stop to the house. So Naziah is usually home around 3:45.
Yes.
So Annette is running around doing some errands. She gets home around 4:30, realizes that Naziah isn't home. So Annette goes out and she looks around. She runs some errands. She goes back to the school to see if Naziah is still at the school, which she wasn't. And then she does say, when asked in the preliminary trial if she ended her search there, she says she drove around to different areas looking for her, however, was not successful. So she goes home and goes back to bed, gets up, and so this is January 10th, gets the kids ready for school, and goes to school and then reports to the school officials that Neziah did not come home yesterday. The school officials are the one that file the police report. So the police come, they interview the grandmother, and that's when the initial search starts for Neziah. So that it starts out late, as you can see.
Yeah, so I think we can just talk about right then. So the last footage they actually have of Neziah is getting off of the bus. So we do know that, obviously, come to find out, she did get off the bus, and then we see her walking, and that's kind of the last footage you see of her. But, Jess, before we go any farther, you have a daughter who is around Neziah's age at the same time.
Yeah.
If your kid did not come home from school, would you have called it a night?
No.
And
not
waited
at
until
all.
the next day? And not only did she wait until the next day, she didn't go directly to the police. She tells the school, and the school has to do it.
Right.
So I feel like, as you can tell, we're already starting off with this rocky, judging the grandmother, but I'm going to say not the best parental figure for Neziah.
No, not at all. Yeah, I find that absolutely weird. Unless she was doing this like as a maybe she was sleeping over friends and not telling her grandmother. But the grandmother doesn't say that during the interview. Like, the grandmother is very like, oh yeah, that was not like her. She comes home from school. So because it was a out of the ordinary situation, right. The fire alarm should have been sounding,
right.
You know.
And also, she's 13.
Right.
She's not like she's a 16, 17-year-old where you're like, oh, they're with their friends. They could be doing. She's 13.
Yeah.
At the time this is going on. I feel like that is wild that she didn't even report to the police or wasn't. And the thing is, when she talks at the pretrial, it's not even like she has very much emotion. Like, I was searching. I was out and about. I was, she kind of just seems very nonchalant about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's very odd. So, as this search ensues, you find out that the last person that Neziah was in touch with was Jarvis Butts. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Jarvis.
And Jarvis is Neziah's aunt's boyfriend / baby daddy.
Right.
In case you missed that.
Yes. So Jarvis, a.k.a. Jairus Roman Butts, was born 11/21/1982, making him a 42-year-old man. Jarvis had a relationship with Shannon Harris. This is Neziah's aunt. Shannon and Jarvis had 5 children together, and we'll talk more about that. Shannon described Jarvis and Neziah's relationship as a normal uncle and niece relationship. So this is when Shannon takes the stand. Jarvis worked at a car shop that was close to Neziah's home. When Shannon testified that Neziah and her oldest daughter would occasionally go to the shop and help clean the shop up. It was discovered that Jarvis was the last person that was in contact with Neziah per phone records that were obtained on February 13th, 2024. Jarvis's phone was obtained, and text messages that were found going all the way back to 2022 revealed that Jarvis and Neziah were in a sexual relationship.
Bomb drop.
Oh,
bomb drop, everybody.
Yeah, or vomit. Like, this is going to get pretty horrible. So if pretty intimate between a minor, it's gonna, I'm gonna read some of the text messages. So anyway, back to, they ended up finding out that Jarvis and Neziah were having a sexual relationship per these text messages that were going back and forth, dated all the way back to 2022. Then they were able to pinpoint via cellular towers the areas that Jarvis was located, and police started to close in on Jarvis, making him the main suspect in this investigation. The text messages between Neziah and Jarvis were horrendous and revolting. Text messages revealed not only was Jarvis sexually assaulting this little girl, but that he had gotten her pregnant. Jarvis Also, they obtained his computer and other electronic devices, had searches in December of 2023, so this is a month before she went missing, included on how to abort a baby, including abortions at home via herbal teas, over-the-counter medication for abortions, and can I drink antifreeze? So Jarvis ends up turning himself in on another, I think it was because of a gun charge, in February 7th. So obtaining his phone and everything is while Jarvis is actually locked up. So he ends up having these conversations with his friend about getting the phone and destroying the phone, basically. And when they heard that, the police were like, we got to find this phone. So anyway, Jarvis was interviewed, and let me tell you, I watched a whole lot of that preliminary trial, and it's pretty evident that Jarvis is guilty.
Yeah, well, we know from the text messages that she was on her way to see him after school.
Mm-hmm.
So right there, not only were you the last person kind of in contact, like there was a plan.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I don't know if you're going to get into this, whether you read those texts just, but the fact that she's saying to him, like how stressed she is, that she needs to see him, that she needs help. And is this the plan for them to meet after school? And he's like, yes. So it's like everything is really just leading to him. And then you get into these disgusting text messages between this 42-year-old man and this 13-year-old girl.
Right.
Who supposedly they have this uncle-niece relationship.
Right. And the crazy thing about it is when you look into like different TikToks about this case, and a lot of people were like, she's kind of hoeing around, and
I didn't like that.
There's a lot of text messages of actually Neziah starting the conversation to have sex, and and Neziah kind of initiating. But in Neziah's undeveloped 13-year-old brain, this was her baby. This was her man.
Yeah, she actually has him saved in her phone as Bae for life.
Bae for life.
And right there, that tells you she's 13. Like, that's a 13-year-old contact aim right there.
No
like,
kidding.
Bae for life.
I mean, like, this is a 42-year-old man.
Who
by, just to kind of get into it, already had charges against him in an unrelated sexual conduct against a minor case.
Yes.
I mean, this man was locked up for a time because he was with other children.
Yes. And it's not, they don't obviously release the minor's name, but it's said to be a ex-girlfriend's child.
Right.
Which the aunt already obviously knew about before.
Hello, Shannon.
Yes.
I mean, how are you going to have 5 children with the man that
who's
you know
as a pedophile?
Exactly. I mean, it's pretty disgusting to not to say the least.
Yeah, and I didn't like how people were attacking Neziah, like regardless if she's being groomed. That is clear grooming. He is 42, he is a full-blown adult. She is a child.
Right.
I don't care what she said.
Right, exactly.
It doesn't matter. Because
Right.
the person who should have been responsible was this full-grown adult.
Yeah.
And even for Shannon to have, not only to have babies with this man, but then to have him in a house full of children. So there's 6 children in this house.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It just could not be me.
I mean, the rumors are going crazy. Mm-hmm. So there's nothing that's really evident against some of these rumors. Like, one of them said that he had given a child chlamydia.
Yes.
I think that was one allegation against him. There's other things of him having multiple children.
Yes, he doesn't just have the 5 children with Shannon.
Right.
He has, I think, when the sister comes into the pretrial hearing, she's like, I don't even know how many he has. And they're like, well, could you roughly guess? And she's like, I don't know, 13. Like, he
13
has
children.
with multiple women.
Not to mention Neziah's unborn child.
Yeah.
You know, there's that. So anyway, all this is going on in March 12th, 2024. The pink jumpsuit that Neziah was wearing and her black hoodie with headphones in the pocket were found. And this was the last outfit that Neziah was wearing in her sneakers. She had like black and red Air Forces, which is like, honestly, I know like I'm biased, but like I just feel as like my child, my youngest is her age. You know, she's actually 2 months older than my child. And I'm just thinking about
Your
like
baby. You can
my
say
baby.
That. You can say that.
when she was 13 years old, you know, she wasn't. Granted, that was only a year ago, but like she didn't have to worry about this stuff. I mean, there are text messages that are saying, I'm failing gym because of this baby. Like I'm out of breath. I can't do gym anymore. I'm going to fail. What do I do? Like she's reaching out to the adult on what should she do because she knows that she's pregnant.
Right. And when she asks him for help, he's like, figure it out.
Right.
And she's like, well, you helped me before, like get plan B's. And he's like, well, go get it. And she's like, I don't have any money. And he's just like being also mean to her.
Right.
Which is, again, a very controlling, like the grooming part of it of just like, I'm dominant and you're not. And you are going to rely on me and I'm going to only help you when like, obviously it's my best interest.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that kind of goes into like the bigger picture of like how much she was like failed just as a child. And why this case took so long to actually get like a prosecution against Jarvis is because that they did not have a body.
Yeah.
So it went back and forth of like, you can't charge him for murder if we don't know she's dead. And it went an entire year before they said, okay, now we can try to prosecute him.
Right. I mean, this girl was active on social media every single day, and since January 9th, it's been dead silent. You know, it's very clear that this child is gone.
And while Jarvis has been incarcerated, Shannon has still been supporting him.
Oh, don't get me started.
She has still been putting money on his book. She has been supporting this man. And that's when we can talk about the grandmother taking an entire day to not get the police involved. This aunt who, again, like supporting this, but not even with that, I feel like she definitely knew something was going on. And this, like, just everybody. I feel like everybody that's involved here, all these, like, letting your kids go to the shop to clean the shop. Like, I would never let my teenage daughters go to a shop that there is a convicted pedophile at to clean the shop. No.
Absolutely.
There's nobody else.
Right.
Or you can't clean your own shop.
Right. And I guess I did read somewhere, and I can't remember if this was the trial or if this was something I read on the internet, but Kenyatta, the actual biological daughter, the mother, she bought Neziah the phone for either Christmas or something. So, I mean, she was involved, which I feel like there must be so much guilt on her. You know, this is going from Neziah, who was probably an unplanned pregnancy, with Kenyatta being really young.
Yeah, I think they said she was 15.
I believe she has struggled with substance abuse. Yeah. That might have been something that I heard. And then so she was not able to take care of this poor child. After that, you know, the grandmother. And like you said, like, how do you sleep at night? How do you tuck yourself in bed when you don't know where your kid is?
No.
Okay, my son is 18 years old, and if he is not home or whatever, I can't sleep. Yeah. I can't, like, I'm not going to be rested until I know where he is, until I know that he's safe. Like, come on now.
Right. And that's even for Shannon, though, because, like, okay, I don't have a child, but my sister does.
Right.
And if she was missing, I would not have let up, especially a child that lives in your house.
Right.
I would have been just a basket case, which I feel like any normal person would have been.
Right. Which leads me to believe that they knew more than this. You know, I think they thought Neziah was out of control. You know, I think they blamed Neziah for the relationship between Jarvis. I think Shannon does. Don't tell me that girl does not know what's going on. Like, you have to be an idiot.
Yep. So at this point, why they were able to actually just move forward is because now there's really just a lot of supporting factors that Neziah is dead.
Right.
Right? She's not just missing. So a couple things here is that the school records show no previous record of unexcused or unexplained absences since January 9th. Well, technically January 10th when she didn't come to school. Again, she was very active on social media. There's been nothing after January 9th. She has had no contact with family or friends since that day. She did not have any medical issues that would cause a life-threatening medical emergency. An area known to Butts near the Rouge River around 7 Mile, Berg Road in Detroit, has been searched by, Michigan State Police, the FBI, the U.S. Marshals, and that's when they were able to find the clothes that was identified to being consistent with the clothes she wore. And there was damage to a piece of clothing found that could indicate there was a struggle.
Yeah, I think they actually analyzed the hoodie that she had, and the hoodie with headphones in it. That just breaks my heart.
A child.
Like, what 13-year-old doesn't have a hoodie with headphones in their pocket? Like, ugh. But anyway, there was blood on that, and that, it's most likely. I mean, there's motive all over this.
Oh, motive.
The fact that he's trying to cover up a pregnancy with a child.
They've now charged him with first-degree premeditated murder, child sexual abuse activity, and criminal sexual contact second degree with a person under the age of 13.
Yikes.
And there's a lot of rumors right now. Again, we don't know what's happening. We just wanted to obviously get this out there so more people know. But as we talked about with Gabby Petito, the public helped solve that case so much. So putting this out here now obviously it's been well over a year she's been missing. Like, just to get information out there if anybody knows anything, or again with Gabby Petito, just like having her in the back of the video, with the van and other things. Like, it's just those little small details that really can make and break a case.
Right.
And it's just getting that information out there for her, because it's been well over a year. This poor 13-year-old girl has not been seen by a soul.
Right.
And there's been no justice for her. Nobody's talking, even though it very much seems like people know more than they are letting on to. And Jarvis is in jail, and with all those charges against him, is probably going to serve life. Right?
Oh, he better.
Right. Oh, 100%. So do you think he doesn't seem like the type, though, to then be like, you know what, let me confess and tell you let me just tell you the truth. Let me tell you where this poor baby girl's body is.
Right.
Even the aunt, so if we need to just keep, speaking her name and getting it out there, then that's what we're going to do.
Neziah Harris. Absolutely. So I believe the trial is set for October of 2025. So we're definitely going to follow this case closely. And if there's any updates, we'll definitely keep everyone updated.
And we don't want to say what these text messages were on this podcast, but if you're feeling free, I want you to go just Google it, because they will disgust you.
Yeah, they're pretty revolting. And again, a lot of people were saying, well, look she's trying to get Jarvis all riled up. She's asking him to come visit her. This is a 42-year-old man, and so this happened in 2022. So we're talking about an 11-year-old now. Okay. They started to have sex when she was 11.
Right.
Just to put that in perspective.
And there's months and months of text messages between these two.
Right.
So we're not going to victim shame. We're not going to victim blame.
No, ma'am.
We're all just going to rally together to hope Jarvis Butts rots in jail for the rest of his life.
Yes. Or jailhouse justice.
Jailhouse justice.
Whatever
yes.
comes. Whatever comes. I mean, honestly. Yeah. So anyway, we are going to talk more about that once they release any more information. We might do an update, and then we'll find out what other things we're going to talk about. I don't know.
That's right.
We're still looking for another show.
Yeah, if you know any, let us know.
All right. Well, stay safe out there.
Blessed be the fruit.
May the Lord open.